Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our Player Spotlight episode, our first Player Spotlight episode, where we kind of pick players that impressed us on a particular game day or players that caught the eye on a particular game day. And this is the first of those episodes, and I'm going to pick two players that I saw yesterday in the game between Brighton and Arsenal. And actually, in fact, two players that I've seen over this last week that I wanted to pick. And actually, what a difference a week makes, doesn't it? Because a week ago, almost a week ago, we were watching, all of us were watching Arsenal against Manchester City. And at the end of that game, we all said that Arteta is on the brink. He's got to be close to the sack. With the way they performed against Manchester City, they were pretty poor. And then Thomas Tuchel got sacked from PSG, and then there was talk about whether, Arsenal were going to make a move for Thomas Tuchel. There's this whole pressure situation that develops, and then a week later, 2 wins later, the whole script has been flipped, the narrative has been changed. So how did it all begin? We're going to go back to the Carabao Cup game actually between Arsenal and Manchester City, where there was one guy who for 49 minutes that he played, he made it seem possible for Arsenal to get a result. And that was Gabriel Martinelli. For those 49 minutes that I saw Gabriel Martinelli on the pitch, I think Arsenal fans believed, and I believed that maybe Arsenal could pull something out of the hat. Maybe they could take it to penalties. Anything seemed possible with him on the pitch because he genuinely, was putting in the energy, putting in the effort. He had that talent, he had that skill, and you just felt with him on the pitch that something was possible. And then he had to go off injured. Sadly, he couldn't. He had a bit of a knock. He got injured. In Arsenal, and it just felt inevitable at that point that Arsenal were going to fall apart, and they did. And City won 4-1. But in those 49 minutes, I keep saying 45, but 49 minutes, you felt something special could have happened. And and then that injury, everybody thought it could be serious. He's just come back from an injury. Gabriel Martinelli, by the way, just after 6-7 months out, he finally makes his return. Maybe gets injured again. It's Arsenal, it's Arsenal. They don't have good luck with injuries. But no, he does not. He comes back. He plays the next game against Chelsea. It's a big game. It's a pressure cooker game. But in this game, he's not alone because he's got an ally with him. And it's a young lad who's come up through the Arsenal Academy. It's Emile Smith-Rowe, who starts in the number 10 position. And the two of them, they transform Arsenal's attack. Arsenal win 3-0. And you know what? If you look at these two games, if you look at Chelsea 3-0 and then the Brighton 1-0, neither of these two players would be the ones that would take the headlines. I think you talk about Saka probably being, probably the better performer. You talk about Lacazette, who scored goals in both of these two games. Neither of these two players have scored goals in either of these games, by the way. Just to be clear, and they probably would not be on the top list of players that have, probably put in man of the match or the best performances in the game. I don't think either of these two players had those 8, 9, or 10 performances. Just the consistency that they bring, the energy, the belief that they bring, that fun. Sometimes certain players have transformative effects, and you won't see it in stats, you won't see them in numbers, but you see them in the way they perform, in the way the team performs. And I think these two players have done that. The way Arsenal have been crying out for a number 10 for so long. We keep saying about how Arsenal are too predictable in attack, too one-dimensional. And then you get Martinelli who comes in, and then they've got this number 10 who was always there at the club but was not being given an opportunity. And then he comes in probably the biggest game of the season for Arsenal against Chelsea, and he comes and he performs so well. And we know about Martinelli last season. He had a breakout season last time around. Before injury stopped his progress. He's pretty much carried on where he's left. It's like he's not been injured. He's just been on an extended vacation. And then Emile Smith-Rowe, I haven't seen a lot of him. Because I don't watch the Europa League games for Arsenal, and he's played a lot of those games, but I haven't seen him in the Premier League. But even he seems like a natural, like he's been playing at this level for all his life. And the thing about Arsenal now is when you look at them, when you look at the team, you realize that there is a real belief in the side, that there is a real dynamism in attack, there's a real togetherness and a real understanding between players. And I think, we talk about Arsenal and kids. Arsenal have so many fantastic players coming to the academy. Actually, it's not just, you've got Smith-Rowe, you've got Bukayo Saka, you've got Miguel Aziz, you've got Folarin Balogun, you've got all these great youngsters, talented youngsters coming through. And, and aside from Saka, now the other players have really been given a proper go. But now Smith-Rowe's got a chance, and he's taken it with both hands. And some people will say that that Arsenal have been kind of forced into it, that Arteta has been forced into it because of injuries and COVID-19. But sometimes that's just part of life. Sometimes you just get thrown these opportunities, to try something different, to do something different. You're almost forced into it, and sometimes you get results that you were never expecting. I mean, you've got to cast your mind back to 2016. Yes, in 2016, when there was a certain Louis van Gaal who had basically lost his first choice striker just in the warm-up, in the match warm-up, and then he had to turn to a young 18-year-old, 17-year-old Marcus Rashford, and the world knows what happened after that. The rest is history, right? And then you talk about this year, Hansi Flick at Bayern needed left back, and he turned to this talented Canadian who was a very highly rated young winger, and it turned out that he was actually he had a world-class left back all along in his side, and he's now probably one of the best left backs in the world, in Alphonso Davies. So sometimes you get thrown these opportunities, but it's about how you take them. It's about how you make the most of it. And I think you've got to give credit to Smith Rowe. You've got to give credit to Martinelli. They've taken the chance. They've taken their chances, and this is something that people have been keeping on saying. You've been saying this. I've been saying this. Something needs to change. Something needs to play the kids. Give a chance to youngsters. Somebody needs to come in and change that, shake the things up, because they need that. They need somebody who can play passes properly, who can bring that dynamism in the final third, and somebody who can provide some consistency on that wings, because Willian isn't cutting it, Pepe isn't cutting it, but he gives Martinelli a go, probably out of force, because he's Martinelli was one of his key players before injury, so he's probably he was probably waiting for it to happen anyway. So he's given Martinelli a run now. He's given Smith Rowe a chance, and he's taken it, and these guys have now established themselves at Arsenal. Now look like they're finally on that upward trajectory. I mean, it's still early days. It's only 2 games. In Martinelli's case, 3 games. But they both look the part, don't they? At the moment, they just look the part. They just look like they've transformed Arsenal. Arsenal now look like a good team, like a team that can, not a team that's they're still 14, 15 in the league, but they don't look like a team that's 14, 15 in the league. They look like a team that's top 7, top 8 quality. They look like that now. And it's, of course, they're young guys, so they're going to have ups and downs. They're going to have situations where they will have bad games. But it's just a matter of sticking with them and seeing how far they can go, because you've got to give them the confidence, that belief that they can do something. And maybe not in the league, maybe the cups, because there's still 2 tournaments that Arsenal are fighting for. With the FA Cup and the Europa League is still alive, and so maybe they can do something there. Maybe Arsenal can go on. But these 2 guys now have given them that X factor. They've given them that belief that something is possible for their season. And that's the thing that as an Arsenal fan, I'm not an Arsenal fan, but as an Arsenal fan, I'm sure that's something that you want to believe in. You want to see some hope for this team, and I think these 2 are giving it. And sometimes players just have those kind of transformative effects. Even though you may not realize it, even though you may think it's there, you sometimes notice certain players come in and they just change the dynamic of your offense, or your midfield, or your defense. That position that they play in, the players around them suddenly start to look better. The players that are playing with them suddenly start to believe more, suddenly start to try more, suddenly start to look better. And that's, I think, what has happened with Arsenal as well. They've now got because these 2 players have come in, they've done so well. I think it's starting to give belief to the entire squad, and not to mention, of course, they're talented and they bring something to the table that the other players don't. So definitely it's working that way. But I mean, kudos to Arteta for finally giving them a go, and kudos to these guys for taking on. So that's my player spotlight. I think Arsenal surprise everyone, but that's what Arsenal do. They surprise you when you least expect it, whether that's when you're expecting a win and they deliver a defeat in the most innocuous manner as possible, or when you're expecting a defeat, they go out and they win, and that's what they did. And I don't think anybody expected them to get 6 points for the 2 games, but they have, and that's really helped them a lot. So I think it's onwards and upwards for Arsenal from here. Now they've got to start looking forward. They've got to try to forget what's happened up to now. I don't think and for all of Big Sam's mind games, the fact is that Arsenal were never under serious threat of relegation. Let me just be clear on that. Arsenal were never going to be relegated this season. It's not about being too good to go around. It's just the fact that there were teams that were much worse than them. I could have imagined if somebody came and said to me, you know what, we can see Arsenal finishing 12, 13. I could probably see that, but they were never going to get relegated. That was not going to happen. But now they can aim for more than just a top 10 finish, or avoiding. Some people be saying, avoiding relegation. Now they can aim for better than that. They can aim for better than just a top 10 finish. They can probably think about a top 7, top 8 finish. Keep in mind, 8th place can also get you into Europe. So, depending on what happens to the Brentford game, obviously, but top 8 can also get into Europe. So they can look at that now in those top 8 positions. They can start to think about that. I think they should start to think about that. But I mean, for an Arsenal fan, I know it's always hard to dream, but I think they can dream now. But kudos to them for that. And, kudos to Martinelli and kudos to Smith Rowe for taking their chance and for taking Arsenal upwards. So that's our player spotlight. Smash a like if you thought that was a good video, and please remember to subscribe to the channel for more such content and videos that will be coming along for your entertainment as well. So please do show your support. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day or night, and see you soon.